A century ago, a Canadian named James Naismith invented the sport, and it's been about that long since anybody from above the border has made even the tiniest of impacts on the game of basketball. But along comes Steve Nash, and suddenly folks are saying, "Oh, Canada." Jim Huber explores the new MVP's hometown.
The breeding ground for basketball genius has long been made of concrete and bathed in shadow, the seemingly exclusive property of the mean streets of the American Northeast. But that is changing dramatically. From France to Germany to St. Croix in South America they come, and from a small sun-baked island off the coast of all places, Canada, where astonishingly, a hockey-crazed nation has a hoop star. Steve Nash was actually born in South Africa, where his father played professional soccer. But when his family decided they didn't want to raise their children in an atmosphere of apartheid back then, they moved him to another corner of the Commonwealth, here to Victoria, British Columbia, where Steve began sowing the seeds of a most improbable but most valuable career.
Back then, the thought of a high school player from here going to the NBA was unheard of. But I knew, and everybody else who saw him knew, he had to be one of the best, if not the very best high school player we've ever seen from here.
Victoria is a small island off the coast of Vancouver, north of Seattle. Like the rest of Canada, it's long been a hotbed for hockey. But while the sweaters of their NHL heroes still dominate the racks, this is one Canadian city that has found a homegrown replacement during the hockey lockout.
Hockey's gone right now. It doesn't matter. Any sport's a good sport, especially the fact that he's from Victoria. Unbelievable.
Without hockey right now, there's a definite need for something to fill that gap. So right now it's basketball. Steve Nash has brought it for us.
No kid would have ever thought to shoot for the NBA. The NHL maybe, but no one thinks about going to the NBA from Victoria, but Steve Nash did, so good on him.
In truth, Steve Nash, the Phoenix Star, voted the NBA's MVP. Could have gone a dozen different sporting directions. Those who vividly remember his young days as a rugby, hockey, and soccer star here tell great tales.
I remember watching him kick rugby conversions with both feet from either side. That was incredible.
If he wasn't playing basketball, he'd be playing Division I soccer right now, and he's a phenomenal soccer player. It amazes me when I see him out there just playing soccer.
He was a standout hockey player, scouted by junior teams. He was from what I understand, a tremendous golfer, a good baseball player, a great lacrosse player. Virtually, he was MVP of soccer for high school in the province.
But his passion for basketball overrode the rest.
Maybe if he was still in South Africa, it'd be a different story. But since you're in North America and you're in Canada, growing up with Magic Johnson and Larry Bird and of course Michael Jordan, you just wanted to do what people were doing on TV.
The whole spirit of Magic and Michael Jordan especially caught him up, and then he was just captivated by the game.
Ian Hyde-Lay became his high school coach when Steve transferred across town to the private St. Michael's University School in his junior year, one which Nash was forced to sit out. But in that single senior season, his impact was overwhelming.
It was just basically sit back and just watch them. There were some record margins of victory at that time. The team really came together for that last 3 weeks of the season, and he was just out on amazing.
Across the province, I think there was always a buzz when the Smooth team came to play, because of Steve, but also because of the great team that we had.
Though Nash still had to practically beg an American university to take a chance on him back then, as Santa Clara eventually did, the door opened wide behind him.
I think he's changed the landscape. Now if a good point guard came out of here, NCAA scouts would be up here looking at it. But back then, it was tough to get anybody to even take you seriously.
I took inspiration from the fact that a guy that lives in my neighborhood made it to the NBA, and nobody in Victoria, let alone British Columbia, has made it to the NBA.
For youngsters in Canada, not just basketball, all sports, and not even just sport, arts, everything. He said it's okay to set your standards high, chase a dream, and just ignore people who say you can't do it.
And so Steve Nash's legacy is many-sided. He personally bankrolls the British Columbia Youth Basketball Association with more than 8,000 children registered. But more than that, because of what he has accomplished thus far, he has funded great and reachable dreams.